Okay, good morning and welcome to Iyun, HaMishna. Today's Mishnah that we're going to be dealing with is Perek Dalet, Mishnah Aleph. Mishnah states, "Hamafresh mixes truma maisros, mostly men truma olav alo lemakom acher." Like we mentioned, the case is that you have a pile of grain. Truma Gdola is supposed to be 2%. You're supposed to give 2% to the Kohen. You took off 1%, and you went for a bathroom break. Now you want to come and take off the other 1%, right? So we assume that the 1% that you're taking off is from Tevel, right? Because technically, Midoraisa, once I took off Chita Achas, Poteres Kol Akrit. Take off one stalk of grain, even though there's thousands of stalks of grain, it already made everything Masukon. There's no more Tevel anymore. And when you take off Shumas Maisos, it has to be from Tevel, things that weren't heard for Shumas Maisos. So we assume because you're doing it, right, you're doing it for this pile of grain, so therefore, even though you took a bathroom break, it's considered a hemshech of what you're doing, a continuation. And when you came back from your break and you took off another 1%, we consider that 1% that left was going to be tevel. It was tevel when you took it off, and it counts as a truma. It's not considered to be that you took from what was masukan already, what was chulin. But when you're doing it for another pile, you come back from your bathroom break, you say, "I have another pile of grain over there." So, I'll take off 3% now. I'll take off another 1% to give 2% from this grain. And then I'll take another 2% to pater another pile. That we don't do. That you can't do because it's a different pile of grain. It's a different pile of grain. You can't do it. So what's the reason? So the Rav explains, this is a concept that I explained in Iyun of Ben Sion, which is the Iyun Shir on Daf Yomi today, about the concept of this Chazik Yisur, about Chazakos, how they work. And when you started with that one pile of grain, so you have a chazaka, you're going to finish that, right? Most people want to take off the minimum requirement, a recommended requirement. You're supposed to give 1/50th to the Kohen, to the Truma Gedola. So even though you had to take a break, we consider the hemshech a continuation of what you're doing because you have a chazaka that you're probably going to take off. We can assume that what you're taking off, when you left to the bathroom, you assume you didn't want to make the whole thing masukan. You wanted to leave another 1% tevel, which when you came back, you took off as tevel, so you have 2% to give to the Kohen. And therefore it's chal truma on that other 1% when you came back. But we have no reason to assume that you're going to do it for another pile also. So we're only Mashayir, Chazal only Mashayir, another 1% tevel, but you can't use and take off another 3% and say one is to be mashed from the 2% on this pile, and the 2% is going to pater the other pile, and I want to have complete use of the other pile, because the rest, besides the 2% of the first pile, the rest is considered already masukon. It's considered fixed. It's considered chulin. So when I take off another 2% or another 3%, and 2% for the other pile, that's considered to be already chulin, and you can't take off truma from chulin, and therefore the whole other pile, is still tevel, and it didn't have a fresh truma done on it. The reason being is that when you have a chazaka, right, so you can rely on that chazaka, the status quo. But when you don't have a chazaka, so therefore she can say what? It's a suffix. It's a suffix whether he had das on a different pile or not. No. We don't say it's a suffix. If we have reasons to assume, we can assume the other way. So there's a concept in the world, not in Torah, called Murphy's Law, Murphy's Law. Anything that could go wrong will go wrong. We assume the worst, and we assume you didn't have intent for the other pile. So if we have a suffix, a shakel, and we have, like we explained in the Gemara in Yevamos, it's chazik isur. We have two piles over here. One was considered completely tevel. One was you started with misaki. So therefore, we don't assume that you're going to take off. When you come back from the bathroom, you're going to take off truma from that one pile on another pile, because the chazak is talim. Even though it's a suffix, we don't know. Maybe you will, maybe you won't. We have no way of knowing. But it's a different pile over there. So for that pile, we use Murphy's Law. We have a chazaka. We assume the worst, and we assume you didn't have intent for that. So therefore, you only in your mind, you only wanted 1% of that pile to remain as tevel, not 3% or 6% for as many piles as you have. And that's the way it works, right? When it's chazik through, when it's a different goof, a different entity, we go with the worst. Murphy's Law applies. Found a place for Murphy's Law in halacha. It really does apply in halacha. That's the way it works in halacha. Hazakas work, assumptions work, and they're very strong in halacha. And a lot of times we have a suffix against chazik isura. You have two pieces of meat. One's cheled, one's not. So, and we're not sure which one you ate. We assume you ate the worst one to bring an ashram toloi, right? Because we assume Murphy's Law, you ate the worst one. See you tomorrow.